China is challenging Russia's long-held dominance in Central Asia's defense market with growing interest in its J-10 fighter jets. Beijing's expanding military exports are increasing competition in a region traditionally dominated by Russian defense suppliers. China's defense industry is making inroads into Central Asia, putting pressure on Russia's long-standing influence. Analysts say Moscow's decades-long monopoly over Central Asian fighter aircraft sales is facing its strongest challenge yet. China's growing defense footprint signals a broader shift in the balance of military influence across Central Asia. Reports claimed 4 more of China's J-10C fighter jets have arrived in Uzbekistan, although neither Beijing nor Tashkent has confirmed the delivery. If confirmed, the latest shipment would accelerate Uzbekistan's transition away from its long-serving fleet of Russian-built combat aircraft. Uzbekistan announced a deal for 24 J-10C fighters in 2025, with its pilots already undergoing operational training in China. Analysts estimate each J-10CE costs around $40 to $50 million, making it significantly cheaper than many Western 4.5 generation fighters. J-10CE fighter. Role: advanced 4.5 generation multi-role combat fighter. Engine: powered by the indigenous WS-10 series turbofan engine. Radar: equipped with the KLJ-7A AESA radar for advanced target tracking. Maneuverability: Canard Delta design delivers exceptional agility in air combat. Hardpoints: features 11 weapon stations for a wide range of mission loads. Key weapons: PL-15E, long-range beyond visual range air-to-air missile. Range: export PL-15E reportedly exceeds 100 kilometers. Strike capability: supports precision-guided air-to-ground attack missions. Networking: modern data link enables real-time battlefield coordination. Mission profile: built for both air superiority and precision strike operations. If completed, the purchase would mark the biggest shift away from Russian fighter aircraft in Central Asia in decades. Analysts said Russian export delays and sanctions have encouraged Tashkent to diversify toward Chinese military hardware. China's lower-cost fighter jets are increasingly attracting buyers seeking modern capabilities without premium Western prices. Experts said the deal strengthens Beijing's defense footprint across what has traditionally been Russia's strategic sphere of influence. Neither the Uzbek nor the Chinese government has officially confirmed reports of the latest 4 aircraft delivery. Defense analysts believe the Uzbek order could become China's most significant fighter export success in the Central Asian market. Despite the reported purchase, Tashkent continues to describe its foreign policy as multi-vector, balancing ties with multiple partners. Uzbekistan has maintained defense and economic relations with Russia, the European Union, Turkey, South Korea, and Gulf states. The reported J-10CE delivery comes as China faces heightened regional scrutiny following its recent missile tests in the Pacific. China's missile test near Tuvalu has exposed growing divisions among Pacific Island nations over how to respond to Beijing's expanding military presence, according to reports. Beijing said the July 6 submarine-launched missile test was part of routine annual military training conducted in accordance with international law. China also said the missile carried a dummy warhead, adding that the launch was not directed against any country or specific military target. Reports said the missile landed near the exclusive economic zones of Tuvalu and Kiribati, raising concerns among several Pacific governments. Tuvalu, Palau, and the Solomon Islands publicly criticized the launch, saying it heightened security concerns across the Pacific region. However, the Pacific Islands Forum failed to agree on a joint statement during talks in Fiji, exposing differences within the regional bloc. Analysts said member states' varying diplomatic and economic relationships with China made it difficult to forge a unified response. Papua New Guinea later softened its initial criticism and reaffirmed its commitment to the One China policy, drawing further attention to regional divisions. Analysts said differing historical experiences, security priorities, and economic interests continue to shape each Pacific nation's approach toward China. China's Coast Guard accused Philippine personnel of deliberately ramming one of its patrol boats near Renari Jiao during a confrontation on July 20th. The CCG said 2 rubber boats launched from the Philippine vessel LT-57 rapidly approached its patrol craft despite repeated warnings to keep their distance. Beijing claimed the Philippine boats intentionally rammed the Chinese patrol vessel while it was carrying out what it described as routine maritime law enforcement operations. The CCG also alleged that Philippine personnel assaulted Chinese law enforcement officers using oars and long poles during the confrontation at sea. China said its crews responded with repeated warnings, evasive maneuvers, and what it described as proportionate countermeasures to control the situation. The CCG maintained that its personnel exercised maximum restraint throughout the incident while acting in accordance with Chinese maritime law. Beijing accused Manila of distorting the facts and making false claims in the aftermath of the confrontation near the disputed shoal. China's Coast Guard rejected the Philippine allegations, calling them a complete reversal of the facts surrounding the maritime incident. Earlier, the Philippine government said Chinese Coast Guard personnel struck a Philippine sailor with a wooden baton during the same confrontation. China and the Philippines traded blame after confrontation at Second Thomas Shoal on July 20th, further escalating tensions in the disputed South China Sea. Manila said Chinese Coast Guard personnel struck a Philippine sailor with a wooden baton during the maritime confrontation. Philippine officials said the incident occurred as their vessels attempted to drive away a Chinese ship operating near the disputed shoal. Video released by Manila appeared to show a Chinese crew member striking a Philippine sailor during the encounter at sea. However, Beijing accused the Philippines of provoking the confrontation, claiming Manila initiated the disputed maritime operation. The U.S. State Department condemned what it described as China's dangerous and aggressive actions during the latest confrontation. Statement by U.S. Department of State said, and I quote, "The United States condemns China's dangerous and aggressive actions against Philippine Navy personnel at Second Thomas Shoal in the South China Sea on July 20, 2026, and calls on China to immediately cease its destabilizing conduct. China's troubling pattern of provocation against lawful Philippine maritime operations undermines regional peace and stability, and directly contradicts China's repeated commitments to resolve disputes peacefully. We stand with our ally, the Philippines, and commend the professionalism and restraint shown by Philippine Navy personnel in this incident. We reaffirm the July 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling, which found that China's expansive maritime claims in the South China Sea have no basis in international law. That decision is final and legally binding on both China and the Philippines. We will continue to stand with our allies and partners in defense of a free and open Indo-Pacific." Unquote.